Dr. Leigh, Gabel and Leah Kaluta are here to lead us through this one. Dr. Gabel is an assistant professor in the Faculty of Kinesiology at the U of C. Her research examines the role of movement, physical activity, and exercise for musculoskeletal health across the lifespan. And how physical activity and exercise can enhance bone accrual and prevent bone loss, which is exactly what we've been just talking about right here. And let's talk about Leah, an exercise physiologist and strength conditioning coach, 25 years experience. She's got her master's and is researching heavy resistance training for peri and early postmenopausal women. So this is going to be a really good one. I did not bring my sneakers, and I did not bring my Lulu outfit, but I feel like you're going to give us some tips for the next time we do have our sneakers and our Lulu outfit on. So I'm going to leave you to that. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk to you today, and this should be a really good lead from Dr. Hintz's talk. My area of research is movement and exercise for bone health. I have a background in exercise physiology. So I'll talk for about 20 minutes, then I'll bring Leah on, and she runs all of our strength training interventions. She's going to get us doing some movement, but within the constraints of our seated environment. But I wanted you to have some practical takeaways for today. Now, I'm going to talk about exercise in general. So we'll talk about aerobic fitness. We'll talk about strength training. Bone health is my love. And in case I don't mention it, I did want to say we can assume that bone loss starts during perimenopause. So I think that plays off nicely in terms of why you may not need a baseline scan. As soon as estrogen starts declining, you are going to start losing bone. So we need to assume that's the case. And hopefully I can provide you with some tools for dealing with that. Okay, be honest. How many of you are inundated in social media feeds by things such as weighted vests? That came up. Vibration plates, hormone hacks, the latest detox. It feels like every week there is somebody new who has found the cure and is trying to sell us something. And oftentimes these things are really expensive. I want to be very clear up front. The problem isn't you for falling for these gimmicks. Women are not naive. In fact, we are well aware that we are not small men. We know that most of the research has been conducted in men. We know that women's health research is chronically underfunded, understudied, and undertaught. So when somebody comes to us and say, hey, your body's different, I've got the thing that's going to help, of course we are going to lean into that. So my plan today is to hope that I can help you go through the weeds a little bit and make some clarity of all these things that you may be inundated with. A couple weeks ago, a friend sent me this meme on Instagram, and it was this lady with her weighted vest on her vibration platform with her red light therapy, drinking some sort of green juice, and now that's all I get. Okay, so I get all this as well, but it is my job to be able to see through the weeds. Okay, first, I've got a really short clip of a video we're gonna look at from YouTube, and it's something that I hope most of you can relate to, so we'll just let them switch to the video.
I can't sleep, I'm hot all the time, my moods are up and down, I burst into tears for absolutely no reason. Is it perimenopause?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
What do you mean? You're my doctor. But
Oh, it could be. There's not really much research. I mean, who really cares, right? But the one thing we do know is that it can last up to 10 years.
10 years?
Or more.
What?
Or less. I don't know what else to tell you.
I don't know. How about maybe you just tell me what's going on with my body? Anything? Is that too unreasonable a request?
Yes, it is. Definitely.
Great, thank you. Okay, Okay, so I encourage you to watch the full video. There's some expletives in the early part, but it's the Baroness von sketch show, and I think a lot of us can relate to this. Yes, women's health research is lacking, particularly during midlife. And yes, our bodies are changing. They're changing with age. They're changing with menopause. But here's the myth that I want to dispel today. Nothing fundamentally changes about how we have to exercise for health during midlife. The basics still work. Just because we're in midlife does not mean we need a rule book for exercise, despite what everyone is trying to sell you and tell you out there in social media. So let's go through this today. The basics work, they always have. If you only leave with one message today, I want it to be this. Aerobic exercise will add years to your life, but it is strength training that is going to add life to your years. And we're going to break down both of these in turn. So this is one of the most consistent findings across health research. Men and women with better aerobic fitness have a lower risk of death from heart disease, from cancer, from all causes. We know this. This figure looks old. It's from the 80s. And that's because we've studied this so much, we don't need to study this anymore. So what you're seeing here on the vertical axis is mortality rates, risk of dying. What you're seeing along the bottom axis are fitness categories. So fitness category 1 are the lowest fit women. Fitness category 5 are the highest fit women. And this was done in a laboratory treadmill test. You had to walk on that treadmill as it increased in speed and grade until you were eventually jogging, then running, until you couldn't last any longer. And we see a few different lines because it's broken down into age categories. The older women are at the top because as you age, you're more likely to die. So that's why those lines are higher. And the 50s, the 40-year-olds, and the 30-year-olds are lower. But what we see across all age bands is that as aerobic fitness increases, and this is the same for as you change or improve your aerobic fitness, your odds of dying decrease. And the biggest changes we see are going from that low fitness category to better fitness. There's not a whole lot of improvement or reduction in risk once you're already fit and you go to more fit. So it's really, how can we get you out of that low fitness category into a little bit more fit? So that's the research. Investing in your aerobic fitness is investing in a longer life. Now I'm going to show you some guidelines. These are not sexy. They are not as catchy as what you will see on social media. But these guidelines are based on the best available evidence in men and in women. So these are the Canadian 24-hour movement guidelines, freely available online. And what they recommend in terms of aerobic fitness is 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity every week. So that's 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or 22 minutes a day. When we think about moderate activity, we're thinking about activities that get your heart rate and breathing up, but you can still talk. So that's a brisk walk, walking your dog. That could be doing some gardening or some household chores. That could be dancing. When we're thinking about vigorous physical activities, we're thinking about those activities that get your heart rate and breathing up, and probably to a point that you can't really carry on talking for more than a sentence. So that would be your running, maybe some fast cycling. A lot of team sports, if you're engaged in those, soccer, hockey, even during a pickleball match, you're probably getting into that vigorous physical activity. Now, the important thing is that all activity in your day counts towards this. So walking your dog counts towards 150 minutes. Going up the stairs at work counts towards probably vigorous, stairs are hard work, that 150 minutes. And same thing as we saw in the graph I showed you before, you're gonna get the most benefit if you're going from not doing much activity right now to doing more or trying to meet that 150 minutes. If you know you're already walking your dog every day, you play pickleball twice a week, you're probably already getting that 150 minutes a week, and doing more isn't going to give you the same benefit as it would for somebody going from not doing much to doing some. So keeping in mind that where you're starting from really matters. I want to talk about walking for a minute, because I hear from a lot of women that the recommendation from their practitioner for activity is to walk. So walking is good. All movement is good. I like walking. If you like walking, that's great. But I do want to talk a little bit about the nuance. I think walking is an excellent starting point. It can be a great gateway into physical activity. But if you can sing a full song during that walk, it is probably not intense enough for you to improve your aerobic fitness. Aerobic fitness declines as we age. So if all of that bucket of 150 minutes of your activity is a brisk walk and nothing more, and there's no strength training, which I'm going to get to in a bit, it's probably not intense enough to prevent the declines in aerobic fitness. And it is certainly not going to be enough to prevent the declines in muscle mass that we see with aging or in bone mass that we see with aging. So if you love walking, that's lovely, but I'd like you to think about how can you make that a bit of a faster walk, or how can you add some hills in there to get your heart rate up a little bit. People love targets and actual tangible targets, so I do want to talk about how we could use heart rate as a tool for giving us a sense of whether we're in that vigorous heart rate range. So we like to think of vigorous physical activity as being an activity where your heart rate is above 70% of its maximum. And we have a very simple equation to estimate what your maximum heart rate is. And that is 220 beats per minute minus your age. So if you were 50 years old, your maximum heart rate is likely around 170 beats per minute. 70% of that is 120 beats per minute. So if you are getting some of your physical activity into that range that is above 120 beats per minute, that is likely in that vigorous category, and that is likely in that category that would enhance your aerobic fitness. So that's a tangible takeaway in terms of how can I easily measure whether I'm in that vigorous zone. And a lot of us have watches on these days that will do that for you. So now what counts as physical activity? The guidelines tell us how much, but they don't tell us what to do. This is where you have full creative license. I love aerobic activity. What do you like doing? Anything that gets your heart rate up. Is it dancing? Is it pickleball? Is it hiking? Is it biking? Is it soccer? It does not have to be on a stationary bike or on a treadmill in a gym. It can be anything that gets your heart rate up. Even better if you can do it with a friend, because doing that with a friend ticks off your movement bucket, and it also ticks off your social bucket. So I want to give you 30 seconds. Turn to your neighbor. What movements do you actually enjoy? And in which ways do you find joy moving your body? Okay, I'm gonna bring you back to the front. This is excellent. I'm hearing a lot. I heard a lot of dancing and movement. There are so many ways that you can get your body moving and tick off that aerobic fitness box. So think about, what do you like? Because you're going to keep doing what you like. Don't do something you don't like. There's so many activities out there. So finding something you really like to do. And really, if you can do it with friends, that'll make it stick. Okay, I want to switch gears now. We're going to go on to strength training. Okay, strength training. So this is about adding life to your years. So improving the quality of your life while you are alive. Most women don't strength train. I think about 80% of women do not do any strength training. So if you are currently doing any strength training, you are well ahead of the curve. You're already there. I want to acknowledge there are so many more barriers for women entering strength training than there are for aerobic fitness. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up in a culture where fitness wasn't necessarily a tool for health. It was a tool for losing weight, and it was a tool for thinking about fat. And that involved aerobic exercise and so many distorted images about what a good body image was and a thin ideal. So I know a lot of folks grew up in that culture where aerobic exercise was prioritized, and you may not have been introduced into the gym or the weight room at all. The other barrier, gyms are really intimidating. Weight rooms are intimidating. Like, there tend to be these male-dominated spaces. Like, why do I want to go in there in the first place? I don't know what to do. I don't feel comfortable there. It's almost like there's this invisible line between the cardio equipment and then the weight equipment. I can't step over it. So there are so many more barriers for women gaining entry into this, but I'm hoping that today you'll come away with understanding why strength training really is so important for adding life to your years. So just like we had that figure for aerobic fitness, we've got a figure here for strength. And this is something you may have heard of, that grip strength predicts mortality. So you are less likely to die if you are stronger. And this is data from females. What we're seeing is that the lower the curve, the lower your odds of dying. So the women who were stronger or had higher grip strength had less chances of dying than those women who had weaker grip strength. It's actually really hard to train your grip strength, but grip strength is a really good proxy for overall body strength. So that's why we tend to hear about it, and it's really easy to measure. So building your muscle mass and your strength is investing in a longer and healthier life. I'm bringing you back to these not very sexy Canadian guidelines. What they tell us about strength training is they want us to do muscle strength training activities at least twice per week that challenge the major muscle groups. Now, you'll notice that they provide no guidance about what that means or what to do. So I hope to give you a couple of takeaways. So I'm going to share a few results from the study that we've been running at the University of Calgary for the past few years, and that's called STOPM. It stands for Strength Training for Osteoporosis Prevention During Early Menopause. So we bring women in who are going through perimenopause or within the first 5 years of menopause, and we teach them how to lift, and we teach them how to lift heavy weights. This is a randomized controlled trial, so half the women were randomized to come to strength training. Half the women were asked to wait for 9 months, and then we offered them the program. So this was a 9-month program. They came in twice per week over those 9 months, and we gradually built them up and introduced them to lifting. Now, you might say I'm contradicting myself because I just told you in midlife we don't need anything different for strength training, and here I am offering this specific program to women navigating menopause. Nothing that we're doing in terms of the strength training, the exercise, or those principles differ because women are in midlife. The key is that they're in a social environment, small groups with people they can relate to, with shared common experience, and that gives folks the motivation to want to come back. They had to come to us twice a week for 9 months. They liked the exercises okay, like it was hard, but they loved coming because of the social connections they made, and they had that impetus to keep coming. So in the strength training intervention, we only did 4 strength training exercises each day. That's it, okay? So we did a squat, we did a deadlift, so it was a hinge movement, we did a vertical push or a vertical pull, and on the alternate day, we did our squat, our hinge movement, a horizontal push, and a horizontal pull. So only 4 strength exercises along with some balance and movement and breathing. Here are the results in terms of increases in the strength of their deadlift. So how much weight they could lift in this movement that's kind of akin to lifting up groceries from the ground. So when the women started, after 3 months of us teaching them proper technique, they could lift about 90% of their body mass. So for a 150-pound woman, that's lifting 135 pounds. That's actually pretty good. So this was after we taught them safely how to lift. But over the next 6 months, they were then able to lift more than 115% of their body mass, okay? That's a 40-pound increase in 6 months in women who are between the ages of 45, 60, may have never lifted before in their life. That is strength that you can feel every day and in every movement. We also looked at some outcomes inside the body. So we looked at changes in bone mineral density at the lumbar spine. Here you'll see 2 lines. In yellow, I've got the women who did not strength train. These were the weight-listed control group. They lost about 0.5% in their lumbar spine bone mineral density. That's what we expect to see during midlife. But the women who were strength training, they didn't just preserve bone mineral density, they actually gained bone mineral density at the lumbar spine in a life period where we're expecting to see loss. Same with leg power in the women who didn't train, so they had to wait life as usual. They lost leg power, so how forcefully and high they could jump across the 9 months. But the women who were strength training actually improved leg muscle power by about 4%. So again, we're not just seeing preventing declines, we are seeing increases in 45 to 60-year-old women. They improve substantially. And then when we ask about quality of life, so how are you feeling today compared to 9 months before or compared to others? We saw that folks in the control group declined, as we'd expect to see during midlife, and that those in the intervention group actually had a 20% increase in their perception of quality of life. They felt healthier and they felt a whole lot more confident. So we're seeing these incredible improvements across the board in women who are beginning strength training during midlife. But I do want to provide a bit of nuance, as the idea of lifting heavy and lifting barbells is a bit intimidating and it's probably not accessible to everyone. This was a supervised program, supervised by Leah. So I want you to know the weight can be light, it can be medium, it can be heavy. It's not the weight that matters. What matters is your effort. So by the time you get to those last few repetitions, it should be feeling hard. You should have that feeling of fatigue in your muscles. So that can be with a 5-pound dumbbell. You're going to have to do that a lot more times, or it can be with a 50-pound barbell. You don't have to lift it as much, but it is not so much the weight you are lifting as opposed to the effort and the consistency of doing that over and over. So the same principles apply at any age, and you can get stronger with any age. So now I want to bring on Leah and give us a 5-minute movement break, and she's going to lead us in a few exercises for you to take home with you.
All right, hi everyone. So seeing those women lifting really heavy is super impressive, but we did not start there. We started by building a foundation, and I want to give you some cues and some tips on what we did to start. So if you are able, I would love some participation. Can you all stand up? So the first thing we talked about was posture. Our bodies and our posture build the foundation for our movement. So if you ever took ballet or had a really strict teacher, they probably said, stand up nice and tall. So guess what we're going to start with? We're going to stand up nice and tall. My cues for this are a little different. I want you to think about having a string from your neck all the way to the top of your head, and I want you to pull that string up to the ceiling. This cue is what I call neck long, so neck nice and long. The next cue is keeping that chest or the neck nice and long. We're going to pull our chin backwards, so our ears are now over top of our shoulders. So we now have a neck long, chin tucked. Next, we're going to move on to the chest. I want you to think about pulling those collarbones nice and wide, opening up that airway. So we have neck long, chin tucked, chest wide. Our next one is ribs down, Sometimes when we do chest wide, we do this. That's not a good posture. So we could do chest wide, ribs down, and then hips nice and level with the ground. Feel this posture. Does it feel foreign? Yes. Yeah. Congratulations, this is neutral posture. This is what we like to build our foundation on in the Stop and program. The next thing we like to talk about is breathing. So breathing is the foundation of all movement. So I want you to quickly imagine you have a belt around your belly button. I want you to take a deep breath and fill that belt and all the way around. Belly goes out, ribs go out to the side, and air goes into the back. So quickly, neck long, chin tucked, chest wide, ribs down, breathe into the belly. This is how we create a foundation for lifting heavy. Relax a little bit. Okay, next up, we like to mobilize the joints. So without trying to hit your neighbor, we're gonna just mobilize our shoulders and our hips. So if you can, we're gonna take one arm all the way up. Try and keep that nice pretty posture. Bend your elbow and try and touch your opposite shoulder blade. Bring your arm up, come all the way back behind you, if you can, without smacking anyone, and bring your shoulder blade, your arm to the opposite shoulder blade. We're just 2 more of those. All the way up, bend, bring it up, behind, and back behind. Good. 1 more, all the way up, bend, up, behind, and down. As we do the other side, I'm going to talk about the importance of this. So this exercise here allows our shoulders to do what shoulders are supposed to do in all ranges of motion. They like to lift, they like to turn, they like to bend, they like to go behind and bend. So we're trying to mobilize those joints. Oh, I love that everyone's doing this. This is fantastic. Okay, next we're just going to mobilize our hips. So if you need to hold on to something in front of you or a super friend, your partner beside you, feel free. I just want to bring your hips in and out. In, so out and then in. Out and then in. Okay. Other side, out, in, 1 more time, out, and in. All right, shake it out. Once we've created a foundation, we've mobilized our joints, we can now go into some movement training. There's not much I can do here with the limited space, but we can do a little bit of squatting. So if you think that neck long, chin tucked, chest wide, ribs down, hips level, think about pushing your hips back and sit into your chair and stand back up. Sit down, stand up. 2 more, sit down, stand up. 1 more, sit down, stand up. Yeah! You can do squats absolutely anywhere. You're in the office, you can do 10 squats, walk around, do 10 more squats. This is a great way to build movement into your day. The next thing we like to do is what Dr. Hinz was talking about was impact training. So a good way to start this is do a calf raise, and then bring your heels down to the ground and a little baby squat. Calf raise, and we're being nice and gentle. Then to do more impact, we bring your heels down a little bit harder, little bit harder, little bit harder. This is a great way to start building impact and tolerance so we can build that bone. So this is how we start the impact in the Stop On program. Lastly, and then we'll move on, balance. We all need balance. That's huge for fall prevention. So hold on to a super friend or whatever's in front of you. We're going to stand on one leg. We get everyone to do this as long as they can. Now, if this is really easy for you, if I fall over, I'm sorry, close your eyes. Yeah. Okay, we're going to switch sides. Other side, nice and tall. Still thinking neck long, chin tuck, chest wide, ribs down, leg up. If that's really easy, close your eyes. You can practice this single leg balance anytime you want. I have a lot of participants say, I do this while I'm brushing my teeth. These are simple things that you can add in every single day to start building that foundation so we can start adding load. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leah. Now, I'm just going to round this out with a couple final slides. We've talked about aerobic fitness. We've talked about strength training. Leah's given you some practical movement advice. Now, how do we make change? How do we add more movement to our life? And how do we make that stick? This is a slide shared by my colleague, Dr. Nicole Coulos-Reed. And they like to think about move goals. So when thinking about goal settings, the M stands for motivation. So I'll read this out and you just think about what this means to you. So move. What is your motivation? Motivation. What is your motivation to move more? O, opportunity. What opportunities can you find in your daily life to move more? Is it at work? Is it at home? V for value. If you move more, what value does it bring to you? Physical, mental, other. And finally, E is for enhance. What will moving more enhance for you? Now, we're on our way to goal setting. So when we talk about goals, we want them to be specific. I'm going to strength train 2 days a week in the morning, and I'm going to do these 4 exercises, a squat, a hinge, and a push and a pull. Self-monitoring. It's not about perfection, but it's about giving you feedback. Okay, this morning thing is not working for me. I got to change my time that I'm going to exercise. Education, we're doing this right now. When you know that aerobic fitness is about intensity, when you know that strength training is about effort and consistency, that'll encourage you to keep doing it. Action planning, who are you doing this with? When? Where? Use that big social bubble to your advantage. It will stick more if you're accountable to someone else. Can it be with a group? Can it be with a friend? Even just telling a friend that you've got this new goal is going to help you keep it stick. And then last, life is always going to interfere. So kids get sick, parents get sick, work explodes, you travel, so plan for it. What are you going to do when this week goes sideways on you? So I'd like to give you one last reflection point, 30 seconds. What are 2 things you learned or will take away from this talk? And what is one small action that you are going to try? Posture. You can talk to a neighbor or you can think in your head. I'll give you 30 seconds to chat. Yeah, you can shout it out too, sure. Posture for Leslie. Okay, I'm going to bring you back, but I love hearing all that talk. So if you take nothing else away from today, you're going to remember that it's aerobic exercise that will add years to your life, but strength training is going to add life to your years, making those years more meaningful and full of health. The basics still apply. Do not fall for quick fixes or gimmicks and hacks. It's about intensity. It's about effort. And last, I think it's really high time that we reframe aging, and particularly midlife, not as a decline, but an opportunity to actually get stronger, not becoming frail, but becoming stronger. The world needs us women around for longer and stronger for longer, and that is absolutely within reach, whether you are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or 90. So Osteoporosis Canada has some excellent resources. Dr. Hintz mentioned the exercise section gives full-on details how to start from banded exercises to light dumbbells to heavier weights. And I've included a few other resources here that I really enjoy. So thank you so much for your time.
Fantastic. That was a good one, hey? And it made it seem, I think, a little bit less intimidating. Because who's an irregular exerciser? Is. Am I? I don't, am I? Because if you're on any sort of exercise journey, you know that you get to a point where if you have 17 minutes, you will use it to work out. Like, you get to a point where you'll do anything to try to get that workout in, and that workout certainly is going to vary, you know, depending on life stages. I was wondering if you could give us a squat, hinge, push-pull.
A demonstration?
Yeah, would you mind?
Perfect. So we already went through these the squat. So Again, standing up nice and tall, and just sit down in your chair. That's all a squat is just sitting down in your chair and standing up.
Okay.
A hinge is picking up your laundry basket
Oh, good. Okay.
and picking it up. So then we still want that nice long posture and bending down. A push is like if you're in the gym, a bench press or a shoulder press. In daily life, pushing and opening doors,
Yeah.
or putting something up on our cabinets.
Okay.
Those are things that we do in daily life, and
Okay.
you can just mimic those in the gym.
Okay,
That
and
helps.
that's, you know what, I mean, like, you've cut it down because now we're at 4 exercises, a push, pull, a hinge, and a squat. That is eminently doable, I think. We have heard so much lately that we've got to lift these big, massive man weights. And what I'm hearing from you is it actually isn't the weight, it is the effort. And as long as, take your 5s, and as long as you're feeling it towards the end, that's okay?
Absolutely. So our research, we're using heavy strength training. We wanted to put as much stimulus on bone as we possibly could. We're looking at max dose here. But we have research in 70, 80, 90-year-olds that show that you can get stronger not lifting heavy weights. It can be a lighter weight, but it's got to feel hard by the time you get to your last rep or two. So you want to still have good form, but it's that signal of fatigue that is telling the muscle and telling the bone to get stronger. So if you're doing your 10 reps, and after 10 reps, you're still just, not
That's
feeling
where
that
the error is.
resistance,
Okay.
you need to do more reps or you need to increase that weight.
Okay, but we don't have to all order 50-pound weights from Amazon, because I was like, I have max 10-pound weights at home. That's where I do most of my workout because that's where it fits. And I've kind of, I can add a 10 and a 5 together, and I kind of got this weird, like, and I was thinking, I just need to order, but I just need to go longer because I've got lighter weights. I just need to go longer until I'm feeling the fatigue. Wouldn't we all love the opportunity to take part in one of these 9-month programs? Would that be fantastic? Yeah. Sometimes investing in, and we are bad at this, in yourself, investing in a trainer once a week for a couple of months to get you going can be absolutely amazing. Well, why don't you gals with the mics make your way sort of down a little bit. We've got some questions, I know, right down here. Hands up for questions. There you go. Teal, right there. Thank you.
What's the research on HIIT with women?
Oh, I call it MIT because I do moderate intensity interval exercises. I'm not doing HIIT, but MIT is a term that I have coined, and you may use it because the HIIT is going to hurt too much. I do MIT.
Well, I am doing HIIT, and I just want to know, I'm 72, and so should I still be doing it?
Okay, so high intensity interval training. This is an exercise where you should be exercising really, really hard. Usually it's on a bike, 30 seconds like max, and then you recover for a couple minutes, and then you go again. It's hard, like it sucks, like it should feel really painful. Most women don't follow through with it because it's hard, like it's really not enjoyable. But you can get the same benefits from a few minutes of HIIT as you could for like as a 30-minute continuous duration workout. So we see that in men and in women. That still doesn't get to the strength aspect of things though, right? Because especially if it's on a cycle ergometer, you're getting the legs, but you're not getting the upper body.
So you have to combine your HIIT with something else. If we're going to do that walk with a friend or whatever, and throw a few hills in. Just don't keep it steady. Throw a few hills in so that you challenge, right?
Yeah, if you're capable and you love your walks, that would be a really good way to make it harder.
Okay, make it harder, because life's hard already. And she wants us to make it harder. Go ahead.
One thing that I think was missing from this presentation, it was excellent, but was the importance of protecting your pelvic floor as you're
Hey,
doing,
pelvic floor physio's coming up right next.
as you're doing weight training, because high impact and heavy weights push down on your pelvic floor. At the same time that you're doing all these things, you should be protecting your pelvic floor by doing Kegels and tightening and strengthening those muscles, not letting that be vulnerable, because when you're pushing down on it, it'll make it worse.
Well, we're going to ask Alana next. She is the pelvic physio, so she's going to have some tips on that for us. And I think what you're trying to say to us is don't let it be as intimidating as it sounds. That the benefits of movement, both cardiovascular and strength training, are so huge that go ahead and start.
They are, but I will say Leah spends 3 months working with folks to teach them how to breathe properly, and part of that is knowing how to engage the pelvic floor appropriately. So you're bang on, but that'll come in the next one.
And the posture thing, fantastic. Okay, we're going to move on to Atlanta. Quickie.
No, I just wanted to say that I actually am the example of why that's important. I'm 53 years old. I just turned 53. And when I was about 48, I started strength training. This is my coach. And I am currently down 105 pounds. And I feel like, even aside from the weight loss, I really, truly feel that I have found the fountain of youth. Yeah. Like, I feel younger, not like I feel obviously physically better, but like emotionally better. I'm a better mom, a better wife, better person, better friend, all of those things. And it really, weight training was it for me. That's what I started with, was the weight training. And it's been phenomenal.
And you say there's no magic pill.
Yeah.
It is the magic pill.
Yeah, there's your magic pill right now. And you know what? Also, menopausal rage. Really, this is currently my reason for exercise, and your reasons change. But currently, menopausal rage is the one. Thanks to the ladies. We're going to move on to Alana.